good afternoon. I have a treat for you for the finale, so get ready, okay? The next person is a junior at Pearl-Cohn High School in the Academy of Entertainment and Communication. She's an avid debater. She has aspirations in criminal justice, social work, dentistry, a wide variety of areas. As you will see in a second, she will not let anyone or anything hold her back. So without further ado, Ms. Tytiauna Ruffin.
Here we go. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? I know you're all ready to go home, but just let me get 15 minutes of your time, and I promise you it's worth it. My name is Tytiauna Ruffin, and I am a junior at Pearl-Cohn High School, and I would like to talk to you guys about a topic that I feel not only touches home with me, but with some of you all out there today. So, for curiosity of just me wanting to know, how many of you of the audience have or know someone that is growing up in a single parent home right now? I wasn't expecting that many. Well, for all that didn't raise their hand, I want you today to picture what it might have been like for you had you not grown up with both of your parents in your home. Just picture it for a second. Do you think that you would be where you are today? Do you think that you would be achieving so much that you would do today? If you think that you would not be nothing had you grown up without both of your parents in your home, you're wrong. It's completely false. Growing up in a single parent home does not mean that you are prone for failure. It doesn't mean that you will never be anything in life. And me, today, I am living proof of that. So, to take you all back a couple of months or years or so, I just recently moved to Nashville in June of last year. And it's been a big adjustment, but I'm getting there. My sophomore year of high school had to be one of my best years that I have ever done. I'm only a junior, so of course that's either freshman or sophomore. But I was a student who was referred to as not a leader, but I was known. I was a part of the sports medicine team. I was a part of the English Honor Society. I was a math peer tutor. I was top two in my medical class. And I'm a student who hasn't made a C since the eighth grade. C's are just ugly to me, and I do not like them at all. And I'm also a student who scored a 22 on their ACT in December. And hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that I scored a 28 on the one I took Tuesday. So, with that being said, I want you guys to know that when you grow up in a single parent home, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to fail and that you have to give up. My philosophy is growing up in a single parent home that as long as you believe, do with 100% effort, and achieve, that you will have no problems and no worries. So I'm going to elaborate on that. You have to believe growing up in a single parent home that just because your father or your mother's not there, that you will be something in life. Because for the longest, I never thought that that was me. My elementary and my middle school years had to be the worst years I have ever experienced. You know, I had never believed that I would be one of the popular kids because in elementary, I was always teased. I was always ran home. I always got bullied for being too tall or being too black or my lips were too big or, I didn't have on the clothes that the pretty girl had on or my hair wasn't done like hers. So for the longest, that's what I believed was going to be my life. This is going to be me. This is what I'm going to have to deal with. And there's nothing I can do about it. And you all know there's a point where you break down and you just feel like you have to do better. So coming up to my eighth grade year, I faced a tragic incident that was the worst and one of my lows. And I'm not going to lie to you guys today about any of my experiences. I made a mistake, and I'm woman enough to own up to it. My eighth grade year, I had met this boy. Now, like I said, growing up, I was always bullied, and I was always teased for being too ugly or, not being so pretty. So for the longest, that's what I believed. And then this boy came along, and for the first time ever, he told me that I was pretty. And of course, I believed it. I mean, who wouldn't? He told me I was pretty. Okay, this can't be happening right now. This boy just called me pretty. Where's the joke? Where's the camera? This is not real. And with my insecurities being so low, I did something that I shouldn't have. I had got caught sexting with that boy. Um, that was one of my very lows. And what happened was I slowly became very depressed. I was to the point where I was thinking about suicide. I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to do work. I didn't want to do anything. And with my father not being around, I was never told how a boy is supposed to treat you, or how a boy is supposed to compliment you, or how a boy is supposed to act around you. I never had that. So, of course, I listened and I acted foolishly. So, from that depression, I was then faced with my counselors. They found my journal. And like I said, I was having very suicidal thoughts. And they found it and they were just talking to me. And it was like, Tatiana, there's something wrong with you. You need help. And I agreed because at that point, I had to believe, okay, this can't be your life anymore. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to deal with this anymore. So I was like, yes, I need help. And I'm willing to get that help. So can you help me? Can you help me get to where I want to be? I don't want to believe like this anymore. I don't want to be like this anymore. So for 2 weeks, I was submitted into a psychiatric facility. I was put on depression medication. And for the first time, I was faced with dealing with myself, something that I've never did before. Because with all my insecurities, I tried to cover it up. I never wanted nobody to know that I was I felt so ugly and I felt so low. And I was so angry and I was so sad and I was so hurt. I never wanted anybody to know that, which nobody did. My friends didn't know. They didn't know what was going on with me. My mother didn't know. I didn't even know what was going on. So, in that psychiatric facility, I got a counselor and I talked to her. And for the first time, I had somebody to talk to. I had somebody to listen and not judge me and look at me differently because of how I was feeling. And, you know, I started writing down not the negative things, but the positive things. The positive things that I am as a person can do, and the positive things as a person that I inspire other people to do. So, with that being said, the 2 weeks went by, and when I got out, I went to high school with a different outlook. I didn't want to be depressed anymore. I didn't want to be teased anymore. I didn't want to be looked at differently. None of that. So, going into my sophomore year, I joined every club that I could possibly imagine. I joined every team. I was a part of every teacher's club. I was staying after school for any program at all. And for once, people knew who Tytiauna was. And you could say Tatiana's name, and a face appears on somebody's face instead of her. She's the girl with the ugly face, or she's the girl that doesn't look like us. For once, I was actually happy with what was going on inside of me, and I was actually proud of what I was doing because not only was I changing myself, I was changing others around me. I was changing my high school. I was bringing in programs that my high school wasn't used to. So going into the aspect of my philosophy with doing with 100% effort, it leads me to Nashville. Because moving to Nashville, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends here. I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I felt myself slowly going back into that depression of being lonely and not having no one to talk to. My first 3, 4 weeks of high school, I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't talk. I didn't get out of my little bubble. I sat at the lunch table by myself for 3 weeks. Imagine what that's like, being at the lunch table by yourself, looking stupid in front of everybody. So at that point, I was like, no, no, this is not. I'm not gonna do this again. I can't do this again. So now I still don't go to lunch. By the way, I still don't go to lunch, but I go to other classes. Like during my lunch, I'd rather go into the audio production room and chill with those people and talk to those people and get to know them because in order for me not to go back to where I was, I got to do different things. I got to try and I got to do whatever it is I need to do to get back to where I was. So instead of me sinking back into that depression and being lonely, I'm trying different things, doing with the 100% effort to get back to where I was. And then it goes on to achieving. Achieving to me isn't just, oh, I did that. Achieving to me is, oh, I did something that that person said that I couldn't do. Oh, I did something that you told me I couldn't do. How you feel about that? Oh, this person said you would never do that, and I did it. Because a lot of times my problems, I try to rely or I try to hold on to this crutch that, this all goes back to my dad not being around. This is all because he wasn't there. And I have to be this way or I have to feel and think this way because he wasn't around. And that's not the case. It's not at all. And, it's okay to sometimes feel like, man, I really wish he was here. Man, I really wish I could pick up the phone and call my dad. It's okay to feel like that. I don't want you guys to feel like that's wrong. But it comes to a point where you can't hold on to it anymore. Because now I'm faced with situations and I'm dealing with the situation right now to where anytime I do something wrong, I relate it back to him not being there. And it's now becoming a crutch. And at some point, you got to let it go. You can't hold on to it forever. Because what us kids growing up in single parent homes don't realize is that, like Stacy said, comparison takes away joy. Because for my 16 years of life, I've always compared my friends who had their parents in their home compared to me. So I was always like, you wouldn't feel this way had your dad been around. Those boys wouldn't tease you had them boys been around. You wouldn't feel ugly if your dad was here. I would always compare, and now listening to Stacy, I'm thinking, that's not true. It's not true at all. Because I didn't miss out on anything. I'm fine. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well in school. I'm still on honor roll. I'm still a smart kid. So what exactly do us kids growing up in single parent homes miss out on? What do we miss out on, son? What do we miss out on? Nothing. And I'm realizing that as long as we use growing up in a single parent home as a crutch, that we're going to be faced with different situations to where we're going to do stupid mistakes. And for that, I have made a mistake that I based off of him not being there. And I heard a lot of people, but we're all human and we all make mistakes. But at some point you got to own up to them and let go of things that you can't change. Because as much as I want my dad to be around, it's not going to happen. As much as I pray, it's not going to happen. So I want you all to know today that if you know someone going to their single parent home and they feel at their all-time low, let them know that it's not permanent. As long as they believe whatever it is they want to be, that they can be that, and do that with 100% effort and achieve that they will be greater. Because, like I said, I am living proof that you can be okay. And I want you all to know that you can be okay. Thank you.